We're back out here once again, and today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite summer baits. It gets those really tough bites when nothing else seems to work. What is it? Well, stick around. We're going to talk all about it. Got it. There we go. That one's pulling pretty good. There we go. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And you know, summer bass fishing is right now at its hardest. This is the real grind. A lot of anglers are having a hard time trying to crack that code and get those tough bites. We've talked about for the past few videos now some ways we can get those bass' attention. They are in full bait chasing mode. They are going after those small fry, the small shad, the small shiner, the small bluegill, whatever is on your fishery that has just had their spawn and they've hatched. Those bass don't have any reason to go after anything else because that food is right there and it's easy. So we're trying to manipulate them to get a random bite here or there. That's why it seems very hard to get those catches and those bites during the summer. We've talked about using something like a weightless fluke. And I've told you about how a buddy of mine, Hicks, gave me the idea to use anise extract, just regular from the store, regular old anise extract, the McCormick bottle, whatever. You can use Great Value. You can use whatever you like. And I've been mixing it with my baits. I've been making my own scents out of it. And the wife, she had a great idea. We bought some star anise online, and she took it and put it in a pot with some warm water, made it like potpourri, and it scented up the entire kitchen. So we knew that it was strong, and we just poured it in here with these flukes. And we also added a couple of the star anise pods in there. And I'm telling you what, these things are potent. They definitely have that licorice smell. So using scents with a minnow style presentation can be a great way to elicit those hard strikes. I've been having great success with that. But there's also another presentation, one that until a few years ago, I would have never used in the summertime until someone clued me in and said, hey, use this year round. You know who you are. You know exactly who I'm talking about. But this bait, obviously, is the jerk bait. And for summertime bass fishing, I'm working these a bit differently. I've got a smaller jerk bait here to pair down with those fry and minnows that the bass are chasing. This is a KVD 200. And we had some cloud cover and the water's got a good bit of stain to it from a month of rain that we've had. So I went with something that's got a little bit more flash, and it worked exceptionally well for me. I went out to the water and I could see right in front of my face. Those bass were all around me and they were busting up like crazy. And a lot of times you can't catch them. The first instinct is to throw topwater, but as we've talked about, that's not really been working very well. So I've been using the fluke. But another thing I've been using is this jerkbait. So a soft plastic jerkbait or a hard jerkbait thrown right in on those busting bass and worked just below the surface can be absolute money. So after I saw those bass busting up, well, I took that jerkbait and I threw it right in there, and this was the result. Right there. Right there. I see you guys. Look at all that. Look at all that. That is nuts, isn't it? When you see all that, you can't even get a sniff. Got it. There we go. That one's pulling pretty good. There we go. All right. No, you're not going anywhere, my friend. You are a good fish. All right. You went after it. Pound and, I don't know, pound and a quarter. Close to a pound and a half. Beautiful fish. Beautiful fish. Thank you so much for playing. And there he went. Let's go get another one. A really nice bass. That was a good catch, and it was on there right away. And that wasn't the only time during the day that I did it. Earlier in the day, I saw another busting bass. I saw a whole bunch of busting bass, and I threw the jerkbait in there, and I got hit instantly. Started reeling in, and I lost that fish. But I was reeling the bait back to the boat, doing just a regular straight retrieve, and I got hit right at the boat again. It was crazy, but I didn't catch that fish either. It kind of threw me off guard, and I didn't get a good hook set on it, and it kind of boogered up the bait. Alright, let's see what we got here. I guess we are random. Yes, we are random, but I'm seeing some bass bust right there. You see them little darlings busting right there? I'm going in there with the old jerkbait. We're going to see what happens when I do. I mean, normally you're going to work top water through there, right? There we go, I got him. Oh, I missed him. He still came back for it and missed it again. Dadgummit. Dadgummit, I got 2 bites. Missed both of them. But that's how those bass are. You can really trigger them. You can really get them activated with a small jerkbait. Something like this. The good old Rebel Minnow. You want to talk about old school. These things go way, way back. And I'm sure a lot of the video viewers on this channel, a lot of you guys who are out there watching these videos, remember these and know how effective these can be. But right now, these can be super effective because of how small they are. A Cotton Cordell little jerk minnow will work just as well. You know, something in that small floating variety. Now, how am I working these? Well, there are 3 main ways that I'm working the jerkbait. You guys have seen me work it very fast. I've talked about it in the past. I'm working it almost like I'm working a walking bait. Jerk, crank, jerk, crank. You know, you can see it in the videos. You can see that I'm working that bait exceptionally fast. I'm really moving that bait through the water. And I'm using it not only to cover water very quickly, but I can elicit those reaction strikes. Those bass go crazy for it. And the second type of retrieve I'm using is just a normal jerk bait retrieve. Jerk, jerk, pause. And I'm making sure that I'm doing it on slack line. I don't ever want that bait to go like this. I want it to dart around sideways. So the trick is when you jerk, jerk, and then you're reeling out that excess slack, don't reel it all the way. Otherwise, you'll get that little bit of motion. Sometimes that pays off, but for the most part, I've noticed it can be off-putting for the bass, well, especially on the big leg. But another retrieve that I do, ironically, is just a straight crank. And I started doing this by accident. I had gotten bit doing it. I was casting the jerkbait out there and I was winding it down and something happened. I thought it was fouled up and I was just trying to crank the bait back to the boat. And I ended up getting exploded on. I ended up getting a violent hit. So obviously I said, okay, this is another way to retrieve. And a lot of times I will mix up those retrieves in order to keep from having to change out baits, right? You catch a fish on a lure and you keep working that lure in the same fashion, those bass get wary to it real quick. So what I like to do is I change up that presentation. I change up how I'm working the bait just to keep those bass honest so they don't get keyed off on it, at least right then. They will eventually because bass are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. But just think about that. A jerkbait, I've said this for the longest time now, a jerkbait is not just a winter bait. It is a great bait, especially for right now during the summer when those bass are chasing those bait balls. It looks like what they're chasing, it reacts like what they're chasing, and those bass will be on that jerkbait real quick. You'd be surprised that whenever the day is rough, when things are not going right, pull out one of these. And there's a lot of guys who like to fish them on a bait caster, and there's nothing wrong with fishing them on a bait caster. I prefer to do mine on a spinning combo. I've got 10-pound braid, and I'm running to an 8-pound. In this case, I've got an 8-pound co-poly leader because I wanted just a little bit more stretch. I'm fishing it on a 7-foot medium rod with a faster tip. And I think this is like a 6.2 to 1 gear ratio. It's a pretty quick spinning rod. Just a regular Lew's. I guess this is the Mach Smash. I'm not crazy about the hook hanger being down here because I'm always grabbing a handful of hooks every time I'm trying to get this rod. I wish Lew's would put them right here. But anyway, that's a video or rant for a different day. This is all that I'm using. Just a regular spinning rod. You can use whatever you like. I find that I can really get some distance, especially using those smaller jerkbaits. But even a regular size jerkbait, a 3-hook jerkbait, you know, something like a Berkley Stunna or even a Megabass Vision 110, something along those lines, you can really sail it out there like a missile. And I like doing that because in the summertime, like we talked about before, you've got to be able to make those longer casts. So when the bite gets tough, change things up. I like to have some of these in my back pocket, and I like to have some of these in my back pocket. It gives me a variety of ways to target those busting bass who are chasing those fry, and I end up getting a lot more bites than I otherwise would have. So there you have it. My way to get those tough bites and make fishing during the summertime that much easier. I throw baits in front of the bass that resemble what it is they're chasing, and I try to mimic how that bait reacts in the water. It's a great way for getting those hard bites. And remember, jerk baits are not just for wintertime. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.